Have you ever wondered what lies above and below the solar system? The honest answer is something so vast that if you saw it all at once, the entire solar system, the sun, every planet, every comet you've ever heard of, would shrink to a single grain of dust. And surrounding that dust is a darkness we have barely begun to touch. We've sent machines toward its edge for almost 50 years, and they're only just arriving. Today, we're going further than they ever will. We begin where everything begins, the sun. It is not gentle. It is a sphere of incandescent plasma, 1.4 million kilometers wide, a churning furnace of hydrogen squeezed so violently that atoms fuse and release floods of energy. In a single heartbeat, the sun pours out more power than our entire civilization could burn through in a million years. It does this without resting. It has done it for 4.5 billion years, and it rules everything around it. Roughly 99.8% of all the matter in the solar system is locked inside that one star. Every planet, every moon, every drifting grain of dust obeys its gravity. Nothing here moves without the sun's permission. Pull back, and you notice something strange about how it all arranged itself. The planets don't scatter randomly through space. They trace their paths along a single flat plane, like beads sliding across an invisible table. We call it the ecliptic. It exists because the solar system was born from a spinning cloud, and spinning things flatten. Over millions of years, that rotation pressed the gas and dust into a disk, and from that disk, the worlds were assembled, one by one. The closest worlds to the fire are small and stony. Mercury, scorched and frozen at once, swinging between extremes, no living thing could survive. Venus, choked beneath a crushing shroud of cloud, its surface pressure so brutal, it would flatten you as if you stood beneath a kilometer of ocean. Earth, the one exception, the only place we know where the math turned out kind. And Mars, rust-colored, silent, dead now, but carved with the ghosts of ancient rivers that once ran across its face. Beyond Mars, the rocks thin out into a scattered ring of debris, the asteroid belt. Movies love to show it as a tumbling wall of boulders, a deadly obstacle course. The truth is lonelier. The space is so vast that the asteroids drift millions of kilometers apart. You could fly through and never see one. The largest of them, Ceres, is a frozen dwarf world that may hide a buried ocean beneath its crust. Then, the giants begin. Jupiter arrives like a king. You could pour more than 1,300 Earths into it and still have room. Its skies are an endless war of storms, and one of them, the Great Red Spot, is a hurricane so enormous that our whole planet would vanish inside it. Past Jupiter waits Saturn, wrapped in rings of ice so bright they seem painted on. Then Uranus and Neptune, blue and bitterly cold, lashed by winds that scream at 2,000 kilometers an hour. Neptune marks the last of the 8 planets, circling the sun from 4.5 billion kilometers out. But this is not the border, not even close. Past Neptune lies the Kuiper Belt, a frozen graveyard of ancient ice worlds left over from the system's birth. Pluto lives here, stripped of its title as a planet in 2006. Yet still one of the most haunting places ever mapped, with mountains capped in ice and plains of frozen nitrogen that glow a pale, ghostly blue. It shares this region with strange companions. Haumea, stretched and spinning wildly. Makemake, glazed in methane frost. Eris, nearly Pluto's twin. Farther out, the orbits grow long and wild. This is the scattered disk, home to Sedna, a dwarf world on a path so stretched it needs over 11,000 years to circle the sun just once. Out here, the sun is no longer a presence. It is just a bright dot among the rest, a star you'd have to search for to find. And still the sun's reach extends. A constant storm of particles streams out from its surface, the solar wind, inflating a vast invisible bubble around everything we've passed so far. This bubble is the heliosphere. Think of it as the sun exhaling, and that exhale wrapping the entire planetary family in a protective shell. The shell stretches some 18 billion kilometers before it weakens. There, the solar wind finally loses the fight against the thin gas drifting between the stars. That boundary has a name, the heliopause. It is the true wall of the Sun's kingdom. 2 travelers have crossed it. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2, launched in the 1970s, swung past the giant planets and then simply kept going. They are still out there, still whispering data back across the dark. Voyager 1 has now traveled beyond 24 billion kilometers, and it pulls farther away with every second. Its instruments felt the exact moment the solar wind died and the surroundings changed. Colder, thicker, foreign. For the first time, a machine built by human hands had touched the outside, and yet, even now, we are not finished with home. Around all of it, the planets, the belts, the voyagers, everything, there hangs a colossal sphere of frozen comets, the Oort cloud. It surrounds the solar system on every side, like a shell enclosing a seed, reaching perhaps 100,000 astronomical units outward, nearly a light year and a half. A comet from its depths can take millions of years just to fall toward the sun and return. This cloud is both a tomb and a nursery. Some of its members are flung away forever by the pull of passing stars, while others plunge inward and light up our night sky with tails of glowing ice. When you finally pass through the outer edge of the Oort cloud, it becomes official. You are no longer inside the solar system. The sun behind you is just a star now, one bright point among uncounted billions. Earth is invisible. Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, gone, swallowed by distance. What lies ahead, above and below, is the true emptiness between the stars. Step into the dark between the suns, and you'd expect pure nothing, but it isn't. This is the interstellar medium, an ocean that is almost empty, yet never quite. Lone hydrogen atoms drift here. Faint veils of gas and dust hang across distances measured in light years. Magnetic fields, invisible and immense, thread through it all. Seen in infrared light, this void would shimmer like fog, broken by darker, denser clouds, where new stars are quietly being born. The sun isn't simply floating in random space. It's traveling through a particular pocket of the galaxy called the local bubble, a cavern roughly 300 light-years across, blown clean by the shockwaves of ancient stars that exploded long ago. Those dying stars swept the gas aside, leaving a clearer, emptier region behind. And it's through this bubble that the sun sails, dragging its planets along at 220 kilometers per second as it orbits the heart of the galaxy. The bubble even connects to others, forming a honeycomb of cavities and tunnels, as though the galaxy were a vast sponge filled with pockets of warm gas. Look around and neighbors appear. Alpha Centauri is the closest, just 4.3 light-years away, and it's actually 3 stars bound together, including tiny Proxima Centauri, which cradles a possibly habitable world called Proxima b. Then there's Sirius, blazing brighter than anything else in our night sky, only 8.6 light-years off. And beyond them, Epsilon Eridani, Tau Ceti, Barnard's star, some alone, some with planets of their own, each one a separate sun with a separate story. Pull back far enough, and these scattered points begin to form a pattern. They belong to something larger, the Orion Arm, one of the great spiral structures sweeping through our galaxy, the Milky Way. The Orion Arm runs for about 10,000 light-years, a long ribbon of stars and glowing nebulae. The sun sits comfortably within it, not too near the violent, crowded core, not too far out in the barren edges. It's a quiet, fortunate address, sheltered from the worst radiation, yet close enough to inherit the heavy elements forged and scattered by earlier generations of dying stars. The very atoms in your body were cooked in those ancient furnaces. Rise above the arm, and the shape of the whole reveals itself. The Milky Way is a disk 100,000 light-years across, yet astonishingly thin, barely 1,000 light-years deep. Imagine flattening it down until the galaxy were the size of a dinner plate. On that scale, our entire solar system would be far smaller than a single mote of dust. 4 great spiral arms wind out from a glowing central bulge, all of it turning with a slow and silent grace. And at the very center, hidden in the brightness, sits a monster. Sagittarius A star is a supermassive black hole holding more than 4 million times the mass of the Sun. It is the gravitational anchor of the entire galaxy. Everything circles it, including us. The Sun completes a single lap around the galactic core roughly once every 230 million years. The last time we were on this side of the galaxy, dinosaurs had not yet appeared. Surrounding the bright disk is a faint, ghostly sphere called the halo, scattered with the oldest stars and ancient globular clusters. But the halo holds something stranger still, an enormous quantity of matter we cannot see, dark matter. It emits no light, reflects nothing, and yet its gravity is everywhere. And without it, the galaxy would have torn itself apart long ago. It is the invisible scaffolding holding the visible universe in place. Climb higher, and the entire galactic disk narrows into a thin line of light, then a faint silver band, the same band our ancestors saw smeared across the night sky and called the Milky Way. But from out here, the view is something no human eye has truly witnessed. Hundreds of billions of stars, ribbons of dust, glowing nebulae, and black holes, all turning together in an endless, silent dance. And still, this is not the top. The Milky Way has company. It belongs to a cluster of more than 50 galaxies bound together by gravity, spanning around 10 million light years. The Local Group. The two heavyweights of this family are the Milky Way and Andromeda, and they are falling toward each other. In roughly 4 billion years, they will collide and merge into a single vast elliptical galaxy, one astronomers have already nicknamed Milkomeda. Scattered among the giants are dozens of dwarf galaxies, like the Magellanic Clouds, still visible to the naked eye from the southern half of our world. They circle the Milky Way like faithful satellites, and some are slowly being shredded, torn into long streams of stars by the gravity of their giant neighbor. But even the Local Group is only a small piece of something larger. It belongs to the Virgo supercluster, a sprawling collection of thousands of galaxies. At its core sits the Virgo cluster, packed with around 2,000 galaxies, including the giant M87, host to a black hole 6.5 billion times the mass of the Sun, the very one humanity first photographed in 2019. Its light is so old that we see those galaxies not as they are, but as they were when reptiles still ruled our young planet. And the Virgo supercluster is itself just one limb of something greater, Laniakea, a Hawaiian name meaning immeasurable heaven. It gathers more than 100,000 galaxies and stretches 500 million light years across. The Milky Way is simply one of the countless lights drifting within it, all of them quietly flowing toward a dense, mysterious region known as the Great Attractor, a hidden mass that pulls everything in its direction for reasons we still don't fully understand. By now, the scale has broken something in your mind. Above, below, in every direction. Galaxies beyond counting. The Milky Way, which once seemed boundless, is now a single glittering speck caught in a web far too large to hold in a single thought. We are so far away now that nothing can be traced back home. The Sun is gone. Earth is gone. The Milky Way itself has dissolved into the crowd, just one faint smudge among billions. What spreads out before you is no longer a sky. It's an architecture, a vast network of light and shadow, where rivers of galaxies stretch between glowing junctions across distances measured in billions of light years. This is the skeleton of the cosmos itself. The long, bright threads are called filaments, highways built from galaxies, gas, and dark matter, all knotted together by gravity, branching and crossing like the veins of some impossibly large organism. The largest ever found are almost beyond comprehension. The Sloan Great Wall runs for more than 1.3 billion light years, and the Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall may stretch nearly 10 billion light years across, so enormous that it shouldn't exist at all. On scales that large, the universe is supposed to look smooth and even, yet these walls hint that it still hides patterns we don't understand. Between the filaments lie the voids. These are the truly empty places, regions of near-perfect nothing, where galaxies grow so rare that space itself seems abandoned. The Buta's void is about 330 million light-years wide, and inside that staggering volume, there are only a handful of lonely galaxies, lost in the dark. Imagine being born inside such a place. You would look up and see almost no stars at all. You might spend your entire existence believing the universe was empty, that you were utterly, completely alone. Out here, the words above and below stop meaning anything. The universe has no ceiling and no floor, no north and no center. Every direction is equal. The expansion that drives everything apart happens everywhere at once, the same in all directions, and that means we are nowhere special. Just one address among infinity, with no privileged seat in the whole arrangement. And now our journey reaches its outermost limit, the edge of the observable universe. Everything that human beings have ever seen or measured fits inside an invisible sphere roughly 93 billion light-years across. But this boundary isn't a wall you could touch. It's a limit made of time. It marks the farthest distance that light has been able to cross since the universe began, 13.8 billion years ago. To look toward that edge is to look backward into the deepest past imaginable. Every distant point a window into a younger cosmos, frozen at the moment its light first set out toward us. Inside this sphere, there are around 2 trillion galaxies. Each holds hundreds of billions of stars, and around those stars, an unthinkable number of worlds. Some molten, some frozen, some perhaps draped in warm oceans under unfamiliar suns. With numbers like these, it becomes almost unbearable to imagine that, somewhere out there, another mind is staring back across the same void, asking the very same question we are asking now. But what about beyond the edge? This is where certainty ends. The observable universe is only the part we can see, and it may be a vanishingly small fraction of the whole. According to our best models, space did not just expand once in a single burst long ago. It is still expanding, faster and faster, driven by a force we barely understand called dark energy. Because of this, there are regions so distant that their light will never reach us. Not in a billion years. Not ever. They sit forever beyond our horizon. Real, but unreachable. There may be endless galaxies out there, other cosmic webs, perhaps even other universes entirely. Some physicists go further and imagine the multiverse, a reality where our entire universe is just one bubble among countless others, each governed by its own laws, its own constants, perhaps its own number of dimensions. Some might collapse in an instant, others might expand forever, and we may never cross between them, trapped the way a fish in one bowl can never glimpse the other bowls lined up beside it. But come back for a moment to what we can observe. At the very limit of the visible universe, a faint glow seeps in from every direction at once. It is the cosmic microwave background, the dying echo of the Big Bang itself. This light is a portrait of the universe when it was only 380,000 years old, a newborn cosmos still wrapped in a fog of searing particles. When that fog finally cleared, light broke free for the first time and began its endless journey. Stretched and cooled by billions of years of expansion, that same ancient light still washes over us today, and hidden in its faint ripples are the seeds, the tiny variations that would one day grow into galaxies, stars, and you. This is the final frontier, the most distant point in space and the most distant moment in time that we will ever be able to reach. Past it, there is only mathematics, theory, and the quiet ache of imagination. Now turn around. Begin the long fall home. The great walls of galaxies fold back into filaments. Filaments tighten into clusters. Clusters condense into superclusters. And then, out of the crowd, one familiar spiral begins to glow again. A lonely island of light in the dark. Closer still, and a single yellow star reappears among billions. The planets return one by one. Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, and at last, a small blue world hanging in the emptiness, exactly where you left it. And here, the journey ends. From the heat of one star to the absolute cold between galaxies. From the cradle of a single planetary system to the trembling edge of all we can observe. And the old question takes on a new shape. What lies above and below the solar system? The answer is that above and below were never real. They were only directions invented by small creatures standing on the surface of one tiny world. What truly exists is scale. Endless, nested layers of reality, each one larger and stranger than the last, all of it bound together by gravity and time. Above the solar system is the galaxy that carries us. Above that, the supercluster that holds the galaxy. Above that, the cosmic web, the primordial light, the fabric of space itself. And in the other direction, down past the smallest things, are the atoms and quarks and trembling fields that build everything you've ever touched. The universe is a mirror of scales, and whichever way you look, infinity seems to repeat. And here is the part that should leave you speechless. Within all of this incomprehensible vastness, you are one of the very few things known to be capable of understanding any of it. You are made of the same atoms that burn inside the stars. When you lift your eyes to the night sky, it is not really you looking at the universe. It is the universe, after 13.8 billion years, finally turning to look at itself, trying to remember where it came from, and wondering where it is going. Maybe the true above is simply everything we have not yet discovered, and maybe the true below is everything we have already come to understand. The space between the two is exactly where curiosity lives. The restless need to know that has carried us from the first fire to the edge of the observable cosmos. The voyagers are still out there, drifting toward the stars. The sun still circles the galaxy in its slow, patient orbit. And we, brief visitors on this pale blue speck, keep looking up, not only for answers, but for ourselves. So, what lies above and below the solar system? Everything. The whole universe, and inside it, our impossible, stubborn desire to understand it. If this journey made you feel small and infinite at the same time, leave a like, subscribe, and share it with someone who looks up at night. Because here, every voyage takes us a little farther into the unknown, together. And as long as there is curiosity left in us, the universe will keep speaking. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next journey.